So we will start actually with our first good practice, which is from our region near Hamburg, from a district that is sorry, on the river Elbe, and which is a big, one of the largest fruit plantation areas actually in Europe, I think. It's called the Altes Land or Old Land. And I welcome Monika Rulle from the tourism organization there, and she will talk about a mobility service that they have implemented in this district. Monika, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you, Tanya, and a warm welcome to everybody all across Europe. Of course, it's a very sad situation that we couldn't welcome you. We tried it, or we waited for you twice this year during the blossom time and early spring when we had wonderful weather. And then the second time, of course, in autumn when we had the fruit harvest. But now we're here and we try to show you a couple of pictures and a short film. So yes, take this also as an invitation to come here maybe later on. Maybe we'll make it another time in this project, or take it as an invitation to come individually. And we really would like to welcome you here. So this is an invitation on behalf of my team, which consists of Sandra. You know her from maybe some of you of the project from the meeting in Rome. She's with me here in the room, and the other members of my team were in 7 here in the Alte Land. Next slide, please. So we'll just have a short film to give you an impression where we are. Can you start it, please?
I'm sorry, I think the presentations from Paris do not work properly with the films. Just wait a minute and I switch to a different presentation because we just checked it and the other one was working.
Okay, we'll just hold on for a second. Yeah, just to give you a small impression on the area. So to give you a clue where we are south of Hamburg. Hamburg is a big metropolitan area. The city itself has 1.8 million people, and the metropolitan area more than 3 million people. And we are in the southwest of Hamburg with a very large fruit growing area, which we will see now. And it's quite impressive. There you see we're near the city of Stade. This is Hamburg. The white line is the metropolitan area of the city of Hamburg. And we are connected with Hamburg through the river Elbe, which you can see leaving here. This is the city of Hamburg. The harbor, a very old harbor, more than 800 years old. And this is a very nice film which was taken this summer. A very large harbor, international, one of the largest international harbors in the world, really. And then you can take a ferry down to Finkenwerder. Very nice to take a bike. And from there you can take the bicycle routes directly to our area, to the Alte Land. You pass Airbus, one of the largest plane building companies. Well, it was and it still is, but of course, you know, having very big problems right now. And you pass the route. You go into the Alte Land and you see very quickly you enter a very nice countryside, and very quickly you enter this area with a lot of fruit trees. We have 18 million apple trees, and very quickly you leave the metropolitan area and you enter this very nice countryside view. So this is very famous, and it's quite impressive, and it has very, very long stretches. Actually, it was cultivated more than 800 years by Hollandese people, and in turn of their work, they got this land. And this very impressive thing is the stretches of land they got at that time for their work was more than 2 kilometers in length. So that's why the stretches of land are still today very long. No longer 2 kilometers, of course, but you still see it in the landscape that they are very long fields. Yes, and after that you enter the city of Stade, which is one of our two main Hanseatic towns, also more than 800 years old, and you can all reach that by bicycle. It's very easy to reach from Hamburg. And also, yes, more than 800 years old, a very traditional old Hanseatic town with a very long history. Yes, and that's the end of our small impressive tour. We will see more of that tomorrow when we have our small presentation of the sub-club, just to keep that in mind. I would like to ask you for that. Yes, but as you've seen, it is quite a bike trip to go there, but one of the problems we have for the people that take the bike is that you have a very long strip along the river, but the problem, maybe take the next slide, is always that it's a very longitudinal road. So you go one direction and then you have the problem of how to get back. You can either take, of course, a ferry, but on the other hand, it would be very convenient to take a bus. So the idea was more than 10 years ago to invent a bus transportation system where you can put the cycle in the back of a bus. So we have this Elbe Radwanderbus invented. So it started in 2009. And the idea was that you can take a bus and you can do long cycle trips without the hassle of how to get back to the point of where you started. So it runs during the summertime, usually from mid-April. You have to keep in mind that our high season is actually May. We have the highest number of overnight stays in May. That's when the fruit blossom is out in our area. And the second high time we have is the second highest number of overnight stays is in August. So this Elbe Radwanderbus is usually runs from April until the 3rd of October, which is a national holiday in Germany. Yeah, the timetable is usually adjusted to the ferries, so you can also take the ferries back from Stade now since last year, and also from Finkenwerder. That was a ferry we saw on the film. Yes, and we have this special signs, which you see the apple. The apple is the sign of our region. And can we take the next slide, please? And we have, yes, two big lines really along the county. And there were, first there was one bus route invented from the far north, the far end, down to Stade invented, and then later on last year we have another line invented. So we run now two lines, all together. We have about 47,000 users in total, and the most interesting thing I think is that we have only 68% of the people use it with the bike, which means that, of course, there are more than 30% that use the bus without a bike, which means that this is a bus system that is not only used by tourists, but it is really a bus system that is also used by the locals. And that is very important also to understand, because it is funded in the end by the community. So the town and the county pays for it. And it is important to understand that people pay about €5 for a day trip. And of course, this is not really the real cost, but in the end, the county pays far more of the expenses than we can get by the tickets. Yeah, from what you see here, what we do, so we have a lot to do in, we do marketing, we do press releases, We do the Elbe Radwanderbus. We have a website for that. We do poster advertisements. That is all our job in the marketing. The sad thing is that in this year, in the Corona year, we didn't bring the bus outside. So in May we had decided that together with the bus company that we didn't, that we didn't bring it outside. The fact, can we take the next picture, please? The problem was that the company said the bus drivers are too close to the passengers, and so yes, this year we did a lot of marketing, but there were no passengers at all. Yeah, to understand the whole monetary system, about 100 to 120,000 euro are paid by the county administration. Then we have the transport company that is involved into it. We have a planning system here, so the local communities have an advisory board that do the timetable planning, which is quite complicated. Then we have the Kreissparkasse, which is the local bank that also pays quite an amount. And we, as Tourismusverband, do the marketing and the complaints management also. Yes, that's about the project description. Das nächste Folie, bitte. Next slide, please. Yeah, to give you a short impression how it looks in action. On the left, upper left side, you see the bus in front and the trailer in the back. So we have the trailer which takes 15 bikes. We have paid for new trailers in the last year. So this year we would have taken them out for the first time. Of course, sadly they didn't come into use because of Corona. The problem was that we see a lot of e-bikes and they are very heavy and the trailers were too high, so we had to buy new trailers so that the bus drivers can put the bikes on this trailer, which is has to do a lot with handling. So the bus driver has to get out of the bus and has to put each bike on the trailer. So it's a lot, has to do a lot with service. Yeah, we do a lot of management with the trains, so that you can also go by train from Hamburg to Buxtehude or to Stade, our main big cities, so that you can also swap the means of transportation. So you could also reach the area by train and then continue by bus and then finally by bike. That's the idea of sustainable transportation. So that is what you can see on the upper left side. On the right side, upper right side, you can see the printing on the asphalt on the left side. So in the areas where you reach a spot and you can't really find the bus very well, we have a lot of printing on the asphalt. And on the lower left side, you can see how the bus driver helps the passengers, which very often are rather older people, as you can see by the picture. Yes, and on the lower right side, you can see a bus in one of our rather old inner cities. It's the town hall of York, the center of the Altes Land, quite next to where we are right now. Yeah, next slide, please. Yeah, talking about the accessibility and the mobility. why have we invented the Elbe cycle bus? Well, it was mainly to improve the mobility of non-motorized guests and residents, of course. The idea is that not everybody is coming into our region by car. We have a lot of cycle route paths here. We have a lot of also international cycle routes, the North Sea cycle routes path, for example, the Elbe cycle route. We have a lot of local cycle paths. We have about a dozen cycle paths. We have, this is really, it is a very flat area here, so that is the main reason for our guests to come here. Apart from simply coming here and looking at the apple trees and yes, eating apples and going into the cafes, which we're talking about later on also. But the problem is really that a lot of people are coming by car, and we would like to reduce the number of cars because it's really a traffic problem in the high season. The better connection among the individual sub-regions is also a problem, that people from the area, not the people from the metropolitan area, but also the region, the people from the region here, they should leave their cars at home and take the bike, would be a good thing. We would like to optimize the competitiveness of the regional tourism industry, which was really a good thing if we would have less cars in the streets. And also it's an improvement of the quality if we have this offer. Next, please. Yeah, so it's the idea is really to not to use the car, of course. Evidently, we would like to improve the service to use less car, more the train. So that's why you always see these pictures, the bus at the train station. That is very important for us. That's why we also have taken the second line into use, which starts from our second Hanseatic town, Buxtehude. And also you can use the ferry, which we saw in the film. You can arrive in Finkenwerder by ferry, and there you can also use the bus. It stops there, and it can take you from there quite a bit, so that you don't have to take the very long way to the Alte Land, but you can also first take the bus and then take a reduced path to our area. Yes, and of course, to reduce the individual traffic is very important for us. And also we know from a lot of people that they simply use it instead of their own car on the weekends to visit other people. And you have to keep in mind that this is a very low populated area with little public transport on the weekends. So this is simply also an idea of public transport. Next one. Yes, and the idea for the future is to extend the Elbe cycle bus further to the west. Yes, it's wrongly written here. We have an old presentation actually, because the Elbe cycle bus is planned to be reduced to be extended to the west and not to the east, because it is already in the east. Yes, sorry for that mistake here in that slide. Yes, and then last one. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Monika. I hope everybody can hear me now. Yes. Thanks a lot. So are there any questions? No one has posted anything in the chat, but your chance is now. Please ask your questions if you have a question, because now we have the expert here to answer all your questions. Maybe I have a question. Monika, do you know anything about the amount of people actually from Hamburg who use who use this service. Is there anything that you can say about that? Because our topic is also, you know, to how to get the people from the big city out and how they are using it. Is there anything?
I have to ask Sandra because she's next to me. Sandra, do we have? No, we haven't. No,
Okay.
Unfortunately, no, unfortunately not.
Okay.
No.
But probably it's quite a large amount. I would. Think.
Yeah. Well, since we 50-50, we've done not the statistics really in a way that we can really say that's really usable. But on certain days, some of us sat on the bus and asked themselves, but this is not something you can rely on really.
Okay.
But our impression was that it was about 50%.
Okay. So now I have questions from Camille. Camille, do you want to ask it again yourself? She was asking, who are the public? Which type of people? You mean who is using it? Probably.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. So as you could see on the picture, actually really mainly older people. So I would say 60, 65 and above, older age people really. A couple of families really, but that's really not the main group of people. So it's mainly older age people, which mainly has to do with the fact that this is an area for older age people really. So we always try to do or to invent more offers for younger people, but the fact really is that we don't have that many offers for them.
Okay.
Yes, we get an indoor surfing arena in a couple of years from now, so that we hope that this will change the offer in the area and we'll get other target groups for this area. But right now it's really an area for rather the older age group. So
yeah, but
not surprising that.
Yeah, but they are always the ones who are traveling a lot, probably in every region here.
Yeah.
And I have another question from Teja. I don't know if I pronounce this correctly. She is asking, do you subsidize the project or is it financially sustainable? I think you probably answered this a little bit. Yeah. Monica?
No, we subsidize it heavily. It's wie hoch ist der Anteil? I can't really say exactly how much it is, but it's mainly paid by the county.
Yes.
And by the cities and by the villages who are participating in it.
Okay. Yes.
It's
only, as you said,
subsidized.
it's only €5 per day if you want to take this bus, and it's it has a lot of service and
and you have to take into account that this is a system which exists also in the neighboring counties. So in the northeast and in the southeast of Hamburg, there are other two cycle buses, and you can use them without paying. So we take €5, which is already some money, very little, I think, really, for the amount of service you get for it. But others don't take any money. So
okay.
Yeah.
So then Wilte asks, what inspires you for further development? Do you have any international examples that you know?
No. Yeah.
No?
So the idea is about international storytelling. To tell more about the region would be an idea to further develop it. So we're redeveloping our website and our whole information system. Our website, we're doing a portable web application, and the whole idea of redeveloping that, we are thinking of also doing more about storytelling. So that would be also maybe an idea.
But not the service itself. Okay.
No.
And then there's
well, we
another question.
we have invested a lot of money into this new trailers, which had been
Yes,
which were bought last year, and they still haven't been used yet. So and you have to
yes,
keep in mind that we're paying more than 100,000 euro per year, so it's quite a lot of money. And
yes, yes. Roberto also had a question concerning the trailers. Do they also take canoes? He is asking, or other gadgets, or only bicycles?
only bicycles. Yes,
Yes, you
only
can't
bicycles.
really canoe. Maybe it's important to say you can't really canoe the Elbe. It's dangerous.
Yeah.
So it's not advisable if you're not a profi,
Yeah.
because you have the big boats and strong currents and big waves. If a boat comes along, so it's not it is a canoeing area which you will hear about tomorrow, but in a very smaller scale. And yes, so and then Josep Rodriguez asked, are there any other private transfer services such as this? I think he means,
No, we're the only ones.
okay. So and Alessandro is asking how much does of the 100,000 euros that are spent per year, how much does the Hamburg metropolitan area spend for it? We don't spend anything. It's completely
100,000 and additionally 15,000 for marketing on top.
yeah, yes.
So it's more than that.
It's all run by the district of Stade, in which Monica's organization is, which is near Hamburg, but it's completely funded by this district. We have many projects where we maybe started a service, but in this case, it is run and it was set up completely by the district alone.
Yeah.
So, and we would like to get some, some fame for it, but no, in this case, not, unfortunately.
No, it's our fame.
So, okay. I think these are the questions, and I think we're completely in time. So thank you, Monica.
Thank you.
Thanks to everyone. The next practice we are going to hear something about is the Blue Ways, or Vies, Blaves, I don't know how to pronounce it actually, which is in the hinterland of Barcelona. And it's a project, as far as I understand it, that aims to convert old roads and paths into touristic roads and paths, so that the hinterland of Barcelona can be used for tourism purposes better. But we will hear more about this from Josep Rodriguez. The floor is yours.
Well,
Okay.
I start sharing the screen now again and switch to the presentation, so you can just start talking. Now you should see the presentation.
Yeah. Okay. Good morning from Barcelona. And first of all, thank you for had the opportunity to share this experience with you. Maybe for our presentation will be a bit different because we cannot show results, because these projects of the Blue Ways is under construction, and we expect that will become a reality in the coming years. So first of all, I would like to introduce you a little bit who we are. Next slide, please.
One moment, please. I've got to switch to the right place.
Okay.
Here we are.
Okay. Okay. Well, we are the provincial government of Barcelona, as Barcelona is one of the 4 provinces of the region of Catalonia, and besides the very well-known hotspot of the city of Barcelona, the province is quite big. It has more than 5.5 million inhabitants, and it goes from the Pyrenees to the coastline of the Mediterranean. In terms of tourism, it is also an important hotspot, and in fact, excluding the city of Barcelona, we are receiving almost 5 million tourists in 2019. This year will be a bit different, of course, and for 14 million overnight stays. So we have many tourist resources, basically based on the coastline, but we have also wine tourism, rural tourism, and other kind of segments that are very, very important. So next one, please. So going to the project of Blue Waste, Blue Waste, Vies Blaves is Blue Waste, and we have an introductory video. If we could have a look to it. It is subtitled in English. I cannot hear the sound, but you can read it in the text. Okay, so I'm sorry you couldn't hear the sound and the music and so on, but you saw the images. So what we are doing, what we are doing is to convert 300 kilometers in the main rivers of the province as a path for bikers, hikers, and also for horses. And the innovative aspect of this project is that usually in Spain, the greenways, these kind of bike lanes are constructed on former railway lanes. And so in this case, this is an ex novo infrastructure. So we are creating this path from the scratch. And this infrastructure has two purposes. It will be a network for sustainable local mobility, so for connect the municipalities of the route, but also it is a tool for the local development through the development of new tourist products along the blueways. It is important to highlight the big area of influence of this infrastructure. More than 5 million people are living in less than half an hour of this route, and it will allow to connect the Pyrenees and the coastline. So you can go to Barcelona, spend 3-4 days in the city, and then take a bus, go to the Pyrenees, and in 3 days biking, you can arrive again to the sea. So it's a very important complement to the tourist offer, and it is a tool to promote the deconcentration of tourists to the hinterlands. And it is also a route with a lot of assets related to the industrial heritage of this area. These rivers were used for industrial purposes. So in some sense, were rivers considered as a backyard of the municipalities of the territory, their dirty waters and so on. And now they are in a process of recovery. And it is important to give value to these cultural, industrial, and natural resources. So this project will help us to improve the access to these values of the territory. And as I said, this will be important as a complement for the existing tourist offer. So it is a territory that already has a big offer of accommodation, restaurants, and so on. So it will help them to break the seasonality and create new tourist products related to the infrastructure. Next one, please. Well, it is a project that was started 4 years ago, and it is promoted by the provincial government with the support of the regional government. It will be an investment of around 50 million euros, so it's a quite big investment, and basically will be funded by the provincial government. It is a work in progress, so now we are in the phase of executive projects, and it's expected that the construction will begin in 2022. What have been the challenges encountered to this project? First of all, it's the legal requirements to guarantee the public use of the infrastructure, of the lanes. As I said, this is an ex novo infrastructure, so some of the paths were not public, they were private, so we have to guarantee this use. Also, there is a river with a difficult orography. We start in the source of the rivers starts at 1,400 meters and goes to the sea. So it's in some places it is quite narrow. So there is a need to set up technical solutions to avoid the floodable crossings, bridges, and so on. Also, we have to agree with 51 municipalities crossing the route, and also the private owners. And finally, the connectivity with public transportation, because it is not an area with many connections with the train. That is the most important public transportation mean for this kind of routes. Next one. Next one. Yeah. So here you are the phases of the projects, and as you can see, now we are in phase of the executive projects, and the construction will start in 2022. So we expect that in 2027 all infrastructure will be ready for the use. Next one. Well, here you have some images. As you can see, there are industrial, cultural heritage, natural areas, and so on. So it's an interesting mix of resources along the route. Next one. And what have been the challenges? The distance, it is important. So it is quite a lot of kilometers to be done. So the length, there are a lot of municipalities crossing the route and counties. Next one. The general criteria to define the tracks have been to take benefit of the existing path as possible, always 3-meter width, with a slope very accessible for all kinds of publics, and near the river or outside the flooding areas. And we are going to construct also viewpoints, rest areas, and to take advantage of the existing vegetation, and also it will be used as a green areas for the municipalities along the road. Next one. This is also a challenge, because as you can see, not all we are taking advantage of existing paths, but some parts of the routes are brand new. So we have to we need a need of substantial intervention in some kilometers of the route. Next one. Well, this is an image of the standard section. Next one. And also in the stretches that are crossing near the municipalities, we will construct what we call the inclusive section. So there will be a wider section with that will allow the combination of different type of clients, not only bikes, but also people with disabilities, people walking, and so on. Next one. Well, two main challenges also, as I said, is the connection with public transport and also the connection with the municipalities. We are constructing the path along the river, but also the connections with the municipality, because sometimes the municipality is up on the hill, so we need this connection with the river. Next one. This is an image of these kinds of connections. Next one. And finally, what are the future plans for the expansion? It's basically what we want to construct is the network of paths in the region. So these blue ways will be connected with the green ways of Girona. The green ones are already in place. The Eurovelo number 8, that is in process of construction, and other long distance routes that are planned in the region of Catalonia, as the Inter-Catalunya route and also the La Via Verde de la Val de Sarthe. So this idea of creating the network of long distance routes. And final slide. Next one. So this is also under a strategy of developing the cycling tourism in the region of Catalonia. So in this sense, we are cooperating with the municipality of Barcelona and the region to host next year the Eurovelo conference and cycling tourism. So you are invited here in Barcelona in October to this conference. We expect that will be a face-to-face meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Very impressive. I think it's sounds like a very ambitious project to me. Good luck with it. And yes, very interesting. So please, the floor is open for your questions. Please put them in the chat if you have any questions about this project. Can't see anything yet. Now there's a question from Wilte. How is developing the reconstruction? Oops, it goes away. Sorry. How is developing the reconstruction projects going? So I don't really know, Wilte, what you mean by this.
Yeah, I don't understand.
Wilte, maybe you want
properly. Yeah, I see there is a question about how is linked to Barcelona Center, and if we target Barcelona tourists, of course.
Maybe we will take Wilte first.
Yes, so I'm very sorry for confusing, typing there. So my question was, who's actually developing the project? I mean, this is a private office. Do you have public procurement procedures for that or not? Just, I'm curious.
Yes, this is a public investment promoted by the provincial government.
Yeah, but who's the developer? I mean, the office or
within the province.
Okay.
Yeah, we're within the province. This is a project developed jointly with infrastructures development and the tourism department. Yeah.
Okay. And Natasha has a question. Can you explain the financial part, as 51 municipalities are involved? How is it working?
Yeah, well, basically, as I said, this will be funded by the provincial government. We are a local authority as well, so we are a supra-local authority, and we are working to provide services for the municipalities. So the investment will be paid by the provincial government. After this infrastructure will be in place, we will see how it works in terms of funding. Probably then will be a shared funding between the municipalities taking advantage of this infrastructure, province, and probably by the region. But at this stage, the basic infrastructure is paid by the provincial government.
Okay, thank you. And then there's a question from Camille. Camille, how is it linked to Barcelona Center, and do you target Barcelona tourists?
Yeah, well, it is linked to Barcelona Center by bus and by train. By train only to the middle of the route. So it is expected that we would need some private transfers to bring people to the Pyrenees. And we will see how the private operators will create some businesses related to these transfers. And this is a key idea of this kind of infrastructure to be used as a factor for the concentrating the tourism, and not only in the city of Barcelona, but also the people who are tourists in the coast of Barcelona. So they can go to the hinterlands and enjoy other kind of tourist products.
Okay, if there are no more questions, thank you again, Josep, for this presentation. Very ambitious and very, I think, impressive. Good luck to you and the region. And the next practice that we have is from the Lazio region. It's the Tibertour, which is an example of, I think it's, as far as I understood, but we will hear more in a second, is that it is a touristic offer that is offered for a limited duration in order to provide access to a region that otherwise is not very easily accessible for tourists. So the floor is yours, Roberto, from Lazio region.
Yes, so 1 minute, I'm trying to activate the micro of Roberto. If someone find him before me, Tanya or Marion, you can maybe activate his micro, but I'm looking at him. Okay, sure. So Roberto, you should be able to turn on your micro now.
Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Roberto Crosti, and I would like from Rome, Italy, and I would like to thank both the Lazio region and the municipality 11th, actually 9th of Rome for hosting us. And what we are trying to represent today is an experience of 1 week traveling from along a river, the Tiber River, that, you know, as we all know, probably it's one of the most iconic rivers in Europe. And we start up from the mountains, from Umbria, so full countryside, real rural areas. And we, let's say, we travel for 1 week along the river, both canoeing, cycling, or walking. And we get after 7 days to Rome. And now, not sure if in the meanwhile you could present the short video, 3 minutes, mute while I talk. Okay. And our experience, let's say, it's made only once a week. Sorry, once a year for 1 week, because it's really difficult to travel the river because there are no facility, there's no access. However, our intention is to suggest ideas, to make good, let's say, to take art as a good practice, in order that everyone could travel, everyone could experience the Tiber River, even of its own, or in groups, or through travel agency. Now, the video that you are watching is, let's say, our last stage when we cross the city of Rome. And crossing the city of Rome itself, you can see St. Peter on the end. You need several authorizations. And unfortunately, there's really no support from any public authority. Actually, they tend more to put bans on people wanting to travel along the river than, let's say, to help us. Anyway, so as I said, this Tiber descent, it's a touristic descent, it's no racing, it's open to families, and it's held usually each year from the 25th of April to the 1st of May. It can be sometimes a little bit longer, never shorter. It takes these 2 days because these are bank holidays. Starts in Umbria, which is one of the region, central region of Italy. It crosses Umbria, it crosses most of the Lazio region, which actually it's possible to navigate on the river all along the Lazio region, except few dams, but it's possible to navigate. And along the river, there's even a railway. So let's say intermodality, could be even useful. And we get to Rome, usually on the 1st of May. And then 1 or 2 weeks later, we reach from Rome, the sea, the Fiumicino area. And it's organized by, let's say, it's coordinated by one group of volunteers. It's all voluntary based, and possibility to participate, it's open, let's say, to everyone. And we tend in the last years, we we are really trying to involve families. You know, it's you can have a 1 week holiday in Italy, and also consider, for example, if you are under 18 years old age, you don't pay, it's free. And all our involvement, it's mainly done so that people can understand that the chance of navigating along the river. Navigating along a river, as you can see now, a family on a stand-up paddling. Navigating along a river has got strong meanings. First of all, you understand, you know, you can see all the landscape. You focus on water quality, which is also important. And you understand that in the last year, let's say, people are trying to avoid a river itself. And not sure if now you can get back to the presentation, maybe from slide 5, I don't know. And people tend not to use anymore the water of the rivers, but tend to use the river banks. Anyway, while our experience focused mainly on paddling, so being in the water, getting wet in the water, we also do the trip with bicycles and walking. We have a sort of a local support with buses, because while you walk, you cannot do the same stage, of course, of cycling. Usually each stage is between 30-35 kilometers for cycling and canoe, while for walking is between 15 and 20. The Tibertour, it's about inclusion. There's no cost for younger. There are different speed. You know, all the tour is guided, but there are different speeds. So if you're old, you can go slow, or if you are not fit, you can go slow. If you're more trained, you got a different speed. People with impairments are able to participate. Usually we have people with impairments. Of course, you know, we need to, they need to tell us in advance, but we have this possibility, and usually there are, let's say, blinded people. They usually participate on this tour canoeing. You know, when there are rapids, you know what they do? They got a partner. Otherwise, they can go on their own. And we also take care of, let's say, of doing food. So there is vegetarian option and gluten-free option. Food, as much as we can, is organic and local. You know, people are forgetting that, you know, if you want to develop rural areas, especially now in this COVID period, you know, you need to focus on local food. We have this section of sustainability, you know, rivers are really peculiar environment, and there are many Natura 2000 sites around rivers, you know, and so each time we pass, we do an appropriate assessment according to the Habitat Directive, you know, even if it's just a screening level, you know, and then there's awareness for participants on important plants and species that we may encounter. We have a towards zero waste policy, you know, no single-use items are allowed during the descent, and for those waste, not litter, waste that we produce liquid else, we compensate that with a litter collection. So we say, we can say that for as much as possible, we have a policy of compensation of the waste that we produce. Can you go for the next slide, please? Okay, triumph elements, actually, it's a nice phrase that, that if you come to Rome, you can see on the riverbanks. It's made from an artist. Anyway, it's a slogan that we use. So we got triumph of our experience, and the triumph is that we managed to take hundreds of people for 1 week along a 250-kilometer route. You know, you start from the mountains, you know, you start when the river is really small, full of rapids, and you get to the city of Rome. You see the city, the fascinating city of Rome from the riverbank, from the river. Laments is that unfortunately we are in Italy. It's really, really difficult to get support from public administration, you know, and usually they tend to put more bans than to support you. Believe me, it's really difficult to get even a support letter or an endorsement letter from public authority. You know, which, for example, you know, we try to, with other partners, to do a life project. Was impossible to get a support letter from public authorities. You know. Next slide, please. Okay, so these are just example. You know, we made this track line. This is specifically for cycling. So you can go from the spring of the Tiber River until the sea. And we made this route that you can do, let's say, in 8-stage cycling or in 16-stage walking, you know. And there is intermodality. There are different tracks according if it's winter or summer, you know, because if you are in winter, probably you find a lot of mud along the river banks, so you have to have another options. And this was voluntary base, you know, so as much we can keep it, people can use it. But, you know, you need to be aware that it's done from volunteers. Next slide, please. Okay, Tibertour, you know, we hope it's a good practice. But another example, you know, some of the group of Tibertour has started this activity in Lithuania, you know. So was planned actually in 2020, an 8-day paddling tour with the same experience of the Tibertour. So you good food, you sleep along the river, and it was all planned. Unfortunately, in 2020, we even had more than 50 people enrolling, you know, registering. However, it was postponed to 2021 due to COVID breakdown through Europe. If someone from Lithuania is interested, you know, you can see there are all the coordination down in the bottom. Next slide, please. Okay, another experience is we are part of this meeting, which is at the 5th edition, which is called All Routes Lead to Rome. And it's about smart mobility, smart travel, smart life. And within this meeting, next slide, please, we have the Forum on River Sustainable Tourism. It's already the second experience. It will be held online, still for COVID reason, will be the 31st of October from 3 o'clock p.m. There will be storytelling of more than 15 short storytellings of more than 15 experiences along the rivers, different type of sustainable tourism. Mainly there are from Italy, but there are the experience from Lithuania and from the Danube River. Next slide, please. So as I said, I just told you the experience of 1 week. Let's say, what we really would like, you know, that some authority will expand this experience all year round. So the possibility to have from this Tibertour, which is managed for just 1 week, to a Tiber route, so that everyone with guide or without guide can travel the Tiber River and get to Rome. So as I said, now the Tibertour is just 1 week, and we create the condition on traveling. Without our support, it's impossible to use this blue route. You know, even in the city of Rome, there are no place where you can reach the river and get your, let's say, your canoe into the river. You know, it's amazing. You know, it's impossible. In addition, it's really difficult, especially for group, if you want to stay along the river, even if you pass by region as Tuscany or Umbria or Lazio. North of Lazio is the Sabina region, which is beautiful, best olive oil probably in central Italy. And so it's difficult to have news or information on routes, intermodality, accommodation, food, you know, and all this information need to be continuously updated. So just as a solution that we throw into the audience is to be able to do a web app, or let's say a launch of a free project of being able to develop a web GIS, and more or less, we actually don't know, the cost could be 50,000 euro for 3 years as a startup. And within these 3 years, you know, to make this web GIS self-sustainable, so that people, you know, can book accommodation, buy food, and being able to collect also tourism groups that can bring people along the Tiber River. So, but this need, of course, a joint solution between public authorities, which really need to put their hands in the mud and in the water, and NGOs, which are the most also most important in Italy, and private sector, hoping to have all year round, or at least, you know, from May to October, the possibility to develop tourism in rural areas and in cities along the rivers. And with this, I finish my talk.
Thank you, Roberto. So we have some questions. Marion, are you going to read them, please?
Yes, of course. The first question comes from Vilde from Lithuania. She asks, what are the permissions and the security requirements you need for your activities?
Okay, permission, you know, we need to have a sort of permission from the Lazio region that never answered to our request. No. Then we need the permission of the, let's say, marine authority, at least for the area in Rome, because in Rome, the river is considered a sea. It's curious, it's not a river, but it's sea. Then when you go to Umbria region, you need to do the appropriate assessment when you walk through Natura 2000 areas. You need to ask permission, you know, to go on the cycle path. There is a bike lane. You need permission to go on the bike lane. And also you need permission in order to advise the, let's say, local fishery authority for fishermen. So this is all the packet of permission that you need to ask. Security, this is curious. Why people ask security when you go canoeing on a river and you don't ask security when you go cycling on a path? Anyway, there are no, let's say, security authority. The requirements, if you go on the rivers, of course, is the buoyancy jacket, is an helmet, and being able to go canoeing as you go on the bicycle. And the next, you know, how do you coordinate the volunteer? Yes, is an association, of course. In Italy, you need to be an association to do any type of request. And we coordinate several groups and several volunteers.
Natasha from Ljubljana wants to know, where will you get the funds from? And do you have public-private partnership? And which funds do you address? ERDF or anything else?
Let's say our 1 week experience is self-sustained. The idea to develop, you know, us or anyone else, just, you know, an idea that throw in a web GIS, which is really functional. Yes, we hope to get public funding, of course. There's no way you can sustain this. And we haven't got public funding. As I said, we are trying through, let's say, European funds, but without the support of local authorities, it's really difficult. So at present, there are no funds, and let's say the Tiber route is just a dream, you know.
Okay, thank you. And Camille from Valdeman also wants to know, what do you provide exactly to make possible this route during 7 days?
Yes.
And which facilities do you provide? And
I read the question. Okay, what do we provide? Let's say if you want, it's the bus that starts from Rome and follows all the tour. We provide guiding along the river. we provide just dinners, because we stop in place and we eat local organic food. And when I say local organic food, it's really local organic food, and not organic coming, from maybe Southern America or what else, or wine which is not really grown and processed no more than 10 kilometers from the river. And we provide also accommodation, which is bulk accommodation, of course. It's not within hotel, and it's bulk accommodation. And along the river, there are sport clubs. But again, in Italy, we haven't got the experience of the big rivers as in Germany, in Austria. So there are not sport clubs in the river, and many sport clubs are really local, and somehow they're not interested in a flux of tourism which comes from all Europe. Let's say they're more interested in local people attending their own sport club, more than seeing people, because we have people from France, from Spain, regularly, we have 10, 15 people from Germany, Austria. It's a really international descent. Actually, one of our slogan is that English is the language of the descent, while food still remains Italian.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, facilities for canoe, pontoon. There is something, but it's not easy accessible. In Rome, for example, there are no public pontoon. And so this is one of the most difficult things to reach. However, at least in the countryside, there are riverbanks. So you can embark or disembark from riverbanks. And then, people that do the walking trail, or people that do the bicycle trail, help, the people in the paddlers getting out. And it's really a nice community, that of more than 150 people that for 1 week, experience the river and help each other.
Okay, thank you. I think
Welcome.
These were all the questions. Thank you, Roberto. I think it's a very, very impressive what you're doing against so much resistance. I can almost,
not sure for how long we will last.
Yeah, good luck for the future and a lot of guests. Sounds great.
Sorry, just a question. Last year we celebrated the 40th edition. 40th, so.
Wow. Okay. Thanks a lot. So the next and the last before the break, good practice that we are going to hear is the Water Museum in Venice and region, as I understood it, and it will be presented to us by Heriberto. Heriberto, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you so much, Tania. I'm grateful for the invitation of the lead partner. I'm grateful to Thomas and to the Veneto region, who gave the opportunity to present this practice. So this is very much in line with the presentation we have seen. It's a way to promote the local heritage. Basically, the water heritage, whatever heritage is linked to blue ways, to blue corridors, to waterways. And it's rather a research strategy implemented by the University of Venice, together with a local NGO, Civiltà dell'Acqua International Center, which had also some interesting outcomes, as I will try to explain. So when I say water heritage, I include both cultural and natural heritage. And this is part of a strategy which tries to complement the present tourist offer for Venice with alternative routes to mitigate the impact of mass tourism. So what you see on the left is a picture that everyone is familiar with, is the Grand Canal in Venice, and which is located in the very center of the city. What you see on the right is what we call a kind of forgotten Venice. That is, all the canals and waterways that are going inland in a vast territory, which were at the center of economic development for centuries, and which today are a bit abandoned and hidden from the main tourist offer. The next one, thank you. So from this map, you can see Venice on the bottom, which is the pink island. And you can see already in the 15th century what is the local hydrography, which is made by natural rivers, as you can see quite easily, I think, but also by artificial canals, which are canals made to connect different rivers one to the other in order to enable navigation. Inland navigation, which is quite developed in this part of Italy, was one of the main typical feature of the Venice Republic for centuries. The next one. So along this inland waterway system of Venice, you have some of the most famous villas of Palladio. A few of them are listed also in the World Heritage List of UNESCO. And I'm referring to the Riviera del Brenta, the Brenta waterways. The Brenta is the name of the river, which is known also as the elongated Grand Canal of Venice. And this is one of the most peculiar characters of this waterscape scenario, which has also some modest, today has some modest tourist offer. The next one. Okay, so here the title disappeared. Anyway, the waterways of Venice are made by major waterways with beautiful villas and castles, as you have seen in the previous pictures, but is made also by minor waterways, minor heritage, which in many cases has been abandoned and forgotten for years. And one of the main reasons to build this research strategy was to make a census, to make a digitization of this heritage and promote alternative routes along some sites which are less magnificent than Palladio's villas, but however are very meaningful and fascinating waterways, inland waterways of the Veneto region. The next one, thank you. So you have mills, of course. This one is almost 700 years old, which is located in the Vigenzone River. The next one. You have a system of hydraulic lifts because navigation would have been impossible without a very strict control of all water levels, which has been made for centuries by the Venice Republic, and which is a system which is also partly navigable today. The next one. We shouldn't forget also the traditional wooden boats and the craftsmanship which are part of this heritage. The next one. So what we are talking about is a typical cultural waterscape. By cultural waterscape, I mean a landscape of water built by man, which has characterized these waterways for centuries, and which is not so important in the tourism strategies today. So how is it possible to promote a sustainable tourism along these canal and waterway system? This is the main question we try to pose. The next one, thank you. Civiltà dell'Acqua and University of Venice Ca' Foscari. For 6 years, we made a number of research investigations to digitize, to know, first of all, to understand before promoting, to understand what is this heritage and what is the potential for further promotion. So basically, through a number of European funded projects, we were able to develop a number of digital routes for mobile, for smartphones and tablets. Next one. And at the end of this exercise, we built also a digital and extended water museum, what we call digital and extended, because by designing a number of, let's say, small itineraries in this area, we were able to identify the most representative water heritage site, the sites of the local water civilization, including natural and cultural sites. So the Water Museum of Venice today includes about 70 sites. The next one. All of them, from castles to museums, to waterways, river navigation museums, marshes, holy waters, all what is part of the heritage, the liquid heritage of this area is included in this museum. The next one. Yes, what you see here is the Botanical Garden of Padua, also listed in the World Heritage List of UNESCO, which was possible through canalization of water in the Middle Ages. And the next one. So I wanted to mention briefly also what is an unplanned outcome beyond the local scale, because this model, the digital and extended water museum of Venice, helped to build a global network. The next one. A global network of water museums. Here, unfortunately, the image is not visible, which today includes 60 similar water museums all over the world in 28 different states with almost 25 million visitors. The next one. Okay, this is the image that you can see now. Most of them are located in Europe, but not only in Europe, in many other parts of the world. The next one. This network was a previous one, thank you. This network was recognized by a resolution, is one of the 11 flagship initiative of the International Hydrological Program of UNESCO. And today is part of this program of UNESCO, which tries to improve water education for more sustainable uses related to water. And of course, tourism is one of the main components that could be promoted, but what kind of tourism? So now I'm going to talk a bit more about the accessibility challenge. Next one, thank you. Okay, work in the frame of the Sustainable Development Goals. This is the main purpose of the Global Network of Water Museum. Next one. And now I'm going to focus a bit more on the challenges that we had to face. First, we decided to improve the visibility of such a hidden and forgotten heritage to work with digital options. Digital itineraries that in the end became digital audio guides, easily accessible to everyone, downloadable for free, of course. And again, I stress that our strategy was, first of all, to try to reconsider and re-evaluate the minor water heritage, not the main villas, not the main castles, but all those heritage which is considered secondary somehow. Next one. So we built along these waterways approximately 80 digital tours, 80 different digital tours that can be made by bicycle, on foot, by kayak, by boat, by horse. In 4 years, we digitized more than 300 points of interest, which are the ones that then have been included in the Water Museum of Venice. So for the first 3-4 years, we used to develop apps, specific apps like this one, which is dedicated to what you can see here are the Euganian hills and medieval waterways around Padua. Next one. Then we moved to another platform, Easy Travel, which is an open source platform, an interesting platform which today is quite well known throughout Europe, has more than 1 million downloads, and it promotes, this platform promotes the itineraries itself. So we decided to work with building digital itineraries within this platform instead of using the apps. Next one. So first of all, the digital routes to improve accessibility, because when you can download, of course, for free, one useful app that includes specific tours. I'm not going to talk about tours because it would take too much time, but you improve the access to the heritage. Another challenge that we had to face was the accessibility of data. So in addition to digitizing the material heritage through a number of European projects, we focused also on oral histories. So we were trying to include a number of interviews to craftsmen, to traditional workers along the waterways, to show to people how the waterscapes are different from today. For example, what you see on the left, we are interviewing a person that is in front of a restaurant in Venice, and that is providing nice stories about how this canal was very crucial for the production of crabs. Crabs, which is one of the typical, moeke is called in Venice, one of the typical dishes of Venice. But today, if you look at this canal, nothing tells you about crabs, about the stories. So this is just to give you an idea how in these digital itineraries, we tried also to include oral histories, and also through the option of the Easy Travel, we were made to make not only digital itineraries, but audio guides. So you're not obliged to read from your smartphone all the times, but of course you work with a more developed option. Okay, so the sustainable mobility, I think I don't need to add anything more, but yes, of course, this is a great opportunity to regenerate not only the local heritage, but first of all, the local economies through a kind of offer with the typical foods, the typical production of these places. Also, the apps include, as I said, both natural and cultural heritage related to water. So this is the limit of our approach. Whatever is water, flowing water, of course, is part of our investigation, and we focused on the specific heritage of Venice in the inland. Next one. Sustainable mobility was made possible by providing offers for bikers, for hikers, especially bikers and hikers. 80% of our itineraries are for them, and 20% for people that like to go with a canoe or boat or by horse. This is one of the project, an Interreg project, You Inherit. Okay. Sorry. You Inherit, that we implemented together with the Veneto region for a pilot action in which we, in particular, we provided a training format for young people to build their own digital itineraries. And I would like to invite you, if you want to know more, to have a look at these digital routes in Venice. Of course, we have more than these. These are maybe the ones more developed because are in the form of digital audio guides. Not all our itineraries are digital audio guides, but only the most recent ones. which are made possible also thanks to technology, because until 2 years ago, this open source platform didn't provide this opportunity of making the digital itinerary as a kind of, really a kind of audio guide. The next one. So water heritage and water museums are part of the strategy, which consider the inherited liquid asset as a key aspect for promoting sustainable tourism, sustainable mobility, and the local development to build a more sustainable future. This is why our approach was, let's say, awarded, endorsed also by UNESCO and the Intergovernmental Hydrological Program of UNESCO, because of this strategy, this philosophy, this ethical perspective, which inspired a possible development of alternative routes for Venice and beyond. The next one. So if you would like to know a bit more about these digital itineraries, you can download the Easy Travel app, which is only 8 or 9 megabytes, so very light application. And then when you can look for itineraries throughout Europe. There are 1,000 itineraries. I'm sure also in the city where you live, there are different itineraries made. Of course, the quality of this itinerary, because it's an open source platform, so you can have very different approaches to make digital itineraries. We were lucky because thanks to European fundings, we were able to make specific research and produce quality digital itineraries. So then when you, when you get into the platform, you look not only Venice, but to explore forgotten Venice, which is the kind of approach we choose to promote alternative itineraries. Thank you.
Thank you, Heriberto. This is very interesting. I listened with great interest because I know that many of us have, at least we in Hamburg and region, have a similar waterway system. And we are also doing a lot with industrial heritage. So maybe I will contact you at some time. And I know that others are very interested in this topic as well. And I think it's very interesting how you do it digitally. So are there any questions, Marion?
Yes, there are. Yes. We will. Let's stick to the digital questions first, because we have got 2 of them. Camille wants to know whether there are digital routes available also in English or other languages. Yes.
Yeah.
Answer first on that.
Yeah. Excuse me. Of course, you can choose the language you prefer. So in our case, through the Interreg project, we produced these guides both in Italian and English. And so with the digital audio guide, the option you have when you type the text, then there is a robot voice that is the automatic audio guide, but of course you can choose also a better voice, so you can record your voice and improve also this technical aspect. But in principle, you choose any language you like.
And do you have any figures as how the digital offer is being used? How often, who is using it?
Well, we have been monitoring for the first 3 months, 4 months, how many people were downloading or using our digital itineraries in Venice. So the 5 digital itineraries I have mentioned, and we had approximately 3,000 downloads.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. In English, not in Italian, in English.
Do you know how many downloads in Italian?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay. And there's 2 more questions from Wilte from Kaunas. She wants to know what kind of educational activities your museum has and what is the profile of your visitors.
Okay, so we provided this platform to develop tourism offers, but we don't have a thorough analysis of the typical tourists that are coming to our in our itineraries. So in principle, we have hikers, bikers, which are the main users of these itineraries. Some of them are coming from different European states. For example, another waterway we promoted is the Sile River, and along these waterways you can find many European tourists. For other minor waterways, it's quite different. It's difficult to make an assessment. We would need funds to make research on this. Unfortunately, well, we were lucky because we had the funds through European fundings, but when the funds finishes, then it's also difficult to advance and make a further analysis. So now we are more concentrated on the international part, let's say. Concerning educational approaches, what we promote both in schools are the knowledge of this water heritage, both natural and cultural. So we are promoting educational activities in schools, in many schools. Now we are animating a global network of water museums in order to take further into consideration this huge heritage, which starts from very ancient times until very recently. For example, among the members of the global network, we have the municipality of Linz in Austria, which opened their abandoned harbor along the Danube River to youth, like an important place of socialization. And they consider this as part of their heritage or water museum, let's say. So what they are trying to improve is the attractiveness of these places. And then in the network, we have other, let's say, more traditional museums that promote educational activities as part of their educational offers within the museums or in the school. So whatever the water heritage considered, in Venice, we had this heritage related to waterways, but could be nature, could be, well, whatever heritage related to water you have, mills, hydraulic factories, and so on, are part of this strategy. Not only in themselves, the idea of this global network is not only to promote cultural aspects, but the mix of culture and nature together. That's why we are promoting a new approach, because in trying to fostering more attention towards culture, we want to improve also the quality standard, the quality of water. And so the strategy basically is trying to implement, to facilitate the implementation of sustainable development goals through holistic new approaches. Small water museums, which are visited maybe by 1,000 or 2,000 people every year, as we have in Italy, and which are included both in the global network of water museums, and some of them also, both in the Water Museum of Venice, and some of them also in the global network, improved their strategy of visibility by taking part to this innovative approach. When you are small, you don't have the strength to improve sometimes. So we are trying to help these institutions and these local stakeholders to get more visibility and to attract more tourism. And one of the basic activities, again, I would like to stress, is education through schools. I didn't mention, but now we are promoting a campaign for UNESCO, which is called The Water We Want, which involves all these museums worldwide. The campaign is in English and in Chinese, and we are about to start soon in Spanish as well.
Alberto, you talked a lot about your network and the waterscapes, and Tanya, my colleague from Hamburg, wants to know how you manage this huge network of participants and partners in your region.
This is a good question. This is a good question. Well, the basic activities are run through small contributions of all partners. And then we raise funds, we raise money to implement specific projects. The communication campaign I just mentioned is funded by China, by private sponsors from China. It's not a big fundings, but it's enough to manage the campaign. And of course, the global network is trying to improve strategies, try to help different water museums around the world. We are talking also about the small museums in Africa, in Latin America, and that's why we are, well, we just started. The global network was founded 1 year ago, so.
Okay.
Okay. So there's just one last question, maybe from Camille. You were talking a little bit about financing the whole project and your activities. I'm not sure whether the question is answered, but can you leave 1 or 2 more sentences about financing your activities?
Yeah. So basically, let's say in 6 years, we were able to raise approximately 150,000 euro to implement to create the Water Museum of Venice and 80 digital tours, 200,000 euro more or less. Mostly from European funds, part of them also from private funds, so bank foundation that wanted to promote the local territory and innovative tourism strategies.
Okay.
Of course, the main problem is that we don't have, let's say, guaranteed source of funding. So it depends when we have the possibility to develop specific projects. We are active as an NGO. Also, the Global Network of Water Museum is an NGO, and from time to time we work for different municipalities or with other partners to promote this strategy.